Hello all. Today we will try to understand about the topic of tracheostomy as to how to write a long question or a short note on tracheostomy. I am sure by now all of you would have seen the video on adult and pediatric tracheostomy. If not, go through the channel and see the procedure so that you understand stepwise how to perform this procedure. Today our aim is how should we be able to write a nice long question or a short note on this topic of tracheostomy. I'll share the screen. So when you are writing a long question, as I say, divide your answer into various headings like introduction, definition, indication, steps, various tubes, complications, and always put a conclusion at the end of your long answer. So in tracheostomy today we will understand there is too many things, too much knowledge, too much information given. But when we write a short note or a long question, our mind should be focused that we should be able to write all the important salient features. So we have to write about modes of emergency management, define tracheostomy, indications of tracheostomy, steps, types of tube, complications, and then in 2 or 3 lines about the conclusion. So tracheostomy forms one of the modes of emergency airway management. The most important one for the airway management is endotracheal intubation, followed by cricothyroidotomy, and third is tracheostomy. Endotracheal intubation, I am sure all of you are aware about. Coming to cricothyroidotomy, so cricothyroidotomy is a special procedure whereby we palpate, we go from the suprasternal notch, we go above, we palpate the cricoid cartilage, and between the cricoid cartilage and the thyroid cartilage is the cricothyroid membrane where we make an incision and insert this tracheostomy tube. There is a separate cricothyroidotomy tube or cricothyroidotomy set available which can be used for this procedure. However, in emergency, we can also go for a transtracheal needle ventilation whereby the site remains same, that is at the between the upper border of the cricoid and lower border of thyroid at the cricothyroid membrane. We use a sharp needle to do an incise or give a stab in the midline, and then patient can be ventilated. But this would only be an emergency procedure. And then comes tracheostomy, which is, as the name suggests, tracheo and stomy, whereby it is making an opening in the anterior wall of the trachea and sometimes even converting it into stoma on the skin surface. So basically an opening in the anterior wall of the trachea, which is a procedure which deals with life-saving emergency. Coming to indications, 3 R are important indications. Remember 3 R. Respiratory obstruction, patient having difficulty in breathing. Second is retained secretions. There is so much of secretions that patient is pooling down in his own secretions. And third is respiratory insufficiency, whereby because of various conditions, patient is not able to breathe properly. So respiratory obstruction, retained secretions, respiratory insufficiency, 3 are for the indications. Coming to respiratory obstructions, which forms the most important indication, we always divide this. And this comes into infective causes, traumatic causes, neoplastic causes, neural causes, and others. So infective causes, it can be anything about any infection about the trachea. It can be epiglottitis, it can be laryngotracheobronchitis, it can be other deep neck space infections like a Ludwig's angina, parapharyngeal abscess, retropharyngeal abscess. In traumatic conditions, it can be an external trauma damaging the airway, it can be iatrogenic trauma, or it can be some burns. Besides, there can be malignancy or neoplastic masses which is present above the level of the trachea, which prevents or which does not allow smooth intubation to happen. In cases of bilateral vocal cord palsy, when the patient comes into severe stridor, we may require tracheostomy as one of the important early management. Foreign bodies in the midline, again tracheostomy required, and certain congenital anomalies. But infective, traumatic, neoplastic, neural, and others forms the more important part of respiratory obstruction. In retained secretions, the patient might be in coma or in other muscular condition like myasthenia gravis or a GBS, where he is not able to cough out. Secondly, patient is having has a trauma to chest, he is having rib fracture, he is having severe pain while coughing, and so there is retained secretions. or conditions like all four nerve palsy, where is all four, that is the recurrent and the superior laryngeal nerve palsy, or conditions where patient might go into severe aspirations. And the third R is respiratory insufficiency in cases of severe chronic emphysema, in case of bronchiectasis, bronchitis, atelectasis, where we can do proper suctioning from the tracheostomy tube. So respiratory obstruction, retained secretions, and respiratory insufficiency are three important indications. Practically, whenever airway obstruction is suspected and the ICU physician is not able to intubate, or intubation is extremely difficult. So intubation extremely difficult, patient in severe dyspnea, stridor, severe change of voice with drooling and cough, and unconscious patient, intubation should be attempted. If intubation fails, tracheostomy should be clinically considered. So we are writing long questions. We wrote introduction, that it is an airway protective measure. Second, we wrote about the definition and the indications. Now coming to steps. Steps, the video is already there on my channel. However, writing steps, you can draw a line diagram whereby first is the position. The patient is kept into extended position. Incision can be a horizontal incision or it can be a vertical incision. The horizontal incision is 2 finger breadth above the suprasternal notch, and the vertical incision starts from lower border of the cricoid cartilage and we extend 2 to 3 centimeter down. The third, after we give a vertical incision, we cut the skin, subcutaneous tissue, the deep fascia, layer-wise dissection happens. The layers are skin, subcutaneous tissue, deep fascia, muscle, isthmus, and then pretracheal fascia, and then trachea. So these are the soft tissue dissection. You can write positioning of the patient, incision, soft tissue dissection, whereby the trachea is reached after 4 layers. Once we reach the trachea, we always incise at the second and third tracheal ring. We don't cut the first tracheal ring because first tracheal ring is very close to cricoid cartilage and we don't want any cricoid cartilage infection to happen, because cricoid cartilage is the only cartilage which is complete ring and it gives support to the larynx. We don't want a cricoid cartilage infection to happen. So we cut on the second and third tracheal ring. In adults, we give a circular cut and take this chunk out. In children, we give a vertical cut and dilate that area. Once this area is cut, we take a Portex, we take a cuffed tracheostomy tube, and this tube is inserted inside very carefully so that it goes inside the trachea, and we inflate the air. After inflating the balloon, we secure this tracheostomy tube and the air entry is confirmed. We are writing a long question on tracheostomy. We write the introduction, we write the definition, we write the indications, we have written the steps. Now, which tube to put? There are mainly 2 kinds of tube, the metallic tracheostomy tube and non-metallic tracheostomy tube. The metallic tracheostomy tubes are of mainly what we know is of 2 types. This one is the Fuller's tracheostomy tube and this is the Chevalier-Jackson tracheostomy tube. The Fuller's tracheostomy tube is also called as Fuller's bivalved. If you see, it has got the outer tube has got 2 valves. So Fuller's bivalved tracheostomy tube, which helps in speaking. And there is Chevalier-Jackson tube, which has got outer tube, inner tube, and the inserter. It does not have a hole in the outer tube or the inner tube, and the patient is not able to speak or not able to speak comfortably when this tube is put, but Fuller's tube is meant for speaking. The other kind of tube is non-metallic tube, which is most commonly used after initial surgery because this has got a cuff. Again, you can go to my instruments videos and see the various parts of tracheostomy tube. In short, it has got a phalanx, the phalanx, it has got a flange, the pilot, the balloon, and the main tube. So once the tube is inserted inside, in this pilot we inject almost so much amount of air which creates 20 cc of water pressure so that this cuff fills up and prevents any aspiration or secretions to trickle down in the bronchus. So we are writing a long question. We wrote about the introduction, we wrote about the definition, we wrote about the various indications of tracheostomies, we write about the steps, various tubes, and after we do any surgery, there is always a possibility of complication. So complications of tracheostomy we divide into immediate, which happens while surgery, intermediate within few hours or within a day, and late complications. So the immediate complications generally is whenever we incise this area is vascular area, there is a chance of primary hemorrhage. One of the most common vessel which gets damaged is can be damaged is the anterior jugular vein. So be careful, any veins which come in center, either we ligate them or we retract them very carefully. We are cutting, there is chance that secretions may go inside or blood may go inside, patient may go into aspiration. Sometimes if it is extreme emergency and too much of panic and we extend laterally or we go deeper or we go superior, there is chance of damage to surrounding structure. There can be nerve damage, vascular damage, other organ damage. Laterally, if the patient is given super high extension and if the surgeon extends too laterally, there is and damages the pleura, there is chance of pneumothorax or pneumomediastinum. There is also a chance of false passage, mostly in obese patients, especially if the tracheostomy, in this case, the tracheostomy as shown in the figure, it may not go in the tube into the trachea, but may go anterior to it, and then it can lead to false passage. And if we start ventilating in a false passage, patient will go into subcutaneous emphysema. Intermediate stage generally happen while the patient is in ICU, there is a chance that the tube may come out. So dislocation of the tube may happen. The tube can get blocked because of secretions. There can be surgical emphysema. There can be infection of the surrounding wound. Obviously, there's a tracheostomy tube inside. There is chance of crusting around the trachea. And there can be some reactionary or secondary bleeding which can happen. Late stage can be patient long-term tracheostomy. He may go into tracheal stenosis. The tracheal area the tracheal cartilages may become weak. He can go into tracheomalacia. There can be a tracheocutaneous fistula where even in spite of removal of the tracheostomy tube, the fistula or the opening on the skin remains. There can be a tracheoesophageal fistula, which is which can be a complication if the Portex tube is used for long and the pressure which leads to pressure on the tracheostoma wall, tracheal wall, and can lead to tracheoesophageal fistulas. A person might get dependent on tracheostomy and there can be problems of decannulation. Sometimes patient might develop keloid, hypertrophic scar or unsightly scar on the neck. So these can be late complications. Decannulation is a procedure whereby once the main indication of why the tracheostomy was done has been taken care of, say a foreign body has been removed, say a mass has been removed, or the trauma has been treated, in that case, we may consider to remove the tube, the tracheostomy tube, and patient can then start breathing from nose, the upper airway, and then the larynx. This procedure is called as decannulation. We put an endoscope, we evaluate the vocal cord, we evaluate the carina, the area above and below the tracheostoma, and if everything is all right, this tube can be taken out. In adult, we partially block the tube, observe the patient, and once patient is tolerating partial obstruction, we can remove the tube. In children, and the decannulation can become extremely problematic because they get dependent on tracheostomy. It is called as tracheostomy dependence, and in that case, we need to gradually reduce the size of the tube, and then maybe over a period of 3 to 4 months, the child can be decannulated. Thus, this is how you write a long question or short note on tracheostomy. If it's a long question, you write about the introduction, you write definition, you write indications, you write steps, you write various tracheostomy tubes, complications, and then conclusion, in which you write thus tracheostomy is a method of emergency airway management and is emergency airway management. So today we understood how to write a long question. There can be short notes like indications of tracheostomy. There can be short note of steps of tracheostomy tubes, complications. Each can be a short note by itself. But if you have prepared this much, I am sure you will be able to answer all the basic questions of tracheostomy. Thank you so much for listening to this